welcome. I'm Ijoma Onyato. Tonight, legal practitioners agree to key into anti-corruption crusade of President Muhammadu Buhari. Now, the president endorses the Centenary City after the board convinced the federal government that the project is private sector driven. The Nigerian government assures wounded soldiers fighting Boko Haram of adequate care. And Chadian authorities sentenced 10 Boko Haram members to death. And in business news tonight, the Nigerian Stock Exchange becomes the first African bourse to end the ISO certification.
And on sports news tonight, the Tigers' quest to win the 2015 Afro-Basket Championships continues as Nigeria seeks to get past Senegal in the semi-finals tomorrow.
We begin tonight with the war against terror, and about 20 Boko Haram terrorists disguised as militarymen have been killed by soldiers in the border villages close to Chad. The Defense Headquarters spokesman, Colonel Rabi Abubakar, told journalists today that the military is intensifying the war to meet up with the December deadline given by the president. According to him, quote, "We're on course to meet the deadline given to us by President Buhari, and with the collaboration of the service chiefs, the insurgency will definitely be over before the deadline, or at worst, on the deadline," end of quote. In another development, Chad says it sentenced 10 members of the military group Boko Haram to death on terror charges. The decision was taken after a 3-day trial in the capital in N'Djamena. All 10 men were convicted over their roles in twin attacks on the capital in June, which claimed the lives of 38 people. Well, the Nigerian army says it's making progress in the fight against terror as the troops of 25 Task Force Brigade in Maiduguri raided a hideout at Sandia and 2 other villages, recovering and destroying improvised explosive devices. Also destroyed is a bomb-making factory at Miyati and Nyaleri villages along Maiduguri-Damboa Road in Damboa local government area of Borno State. 3 terrorists were reportedly arrested. The acting director of Army Public Relations, Colonel Sani Usman, explains that the operation is a joint effort between the brigade and the Nigerian Air Force, who provided air cover before the ground troops carried out a mop-up exercise. In the meantime, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Defense, Samaila Aliyu, has given the soldiers the assurance that those wounded in the ongoing fight against the Boko Haram insurgency will be properly cared for by the federal government. He gave the assurance during a visit to the officers at the 44 Nigerian Army Reference Hospital in Kaduna. Mr. Aliyu, who was also accompanied by senior military officers, said the purpose of his visit was to commend them for defending the integrity of the country.
It's one of the reasons, again, that I'm here, to determine the condition and see appropriate action to be taken. But definitely action will be taken in the next few weeks to see wherever the federal government is coming in the terms of intervention. That is the main purpose of our visit here. The next line of action is to go back to him with a report of how they are faring, what is needed to be done in this hospital, because this hospital is very special, not only to Nigerian armed forces but to Nigeria in general, because this is a hospital we want it to be also of international standard. All across the world, most of these referral hospitals are military hospitals. We want Nigeria 44 referral hospitals to be one of those ones, and that is the main purpose of this.
Away from security now, the president has given his approval to the Centenary City project in the Federal Capital Territory. And this follows his meeting with members of the board of the Centenary City PLC, led by the former head of state, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, today in Abuja. The managing director of the Centenary PLC, Dr. Michael Odenigwe, who briefed journalists after the meeting, reaffirmed that the project is entirely private sector driven and not government sponsored, as being claimed in some quarters.
It has been described as an ambitious new project by the Nigerian government. The visionaries said they want to give Nigerians a smart city, taking after Dubai, Monaco and Singapore. Located on the airport road, the city is to occupy 1,260 hectares of land, and it is private sector driven. The government that held the groundbreaking ceremony is no more, and chairman of the board of directors of the Centenary City and a former head of state is leading the members of the board on what has been described as a courtesy call. They comprehensively briefed the president about the project and that compensations have fully been paid. President Buhari is said to have given a nod to the project and has praised the development partners for having enough confidence to invest $18.5 billion in the project. The president is also pleased that the project will provide jobs for about 250,000 Nigerians.
As you all know, Centenary City is 100% private sector development with no government funding. Centenary City PLC is owned by 40 Nigerian and international investors, and our partner, Eagle Hills, is sponsored by the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Abu Dhabi, which has over $1 trillion under management. The president is looking forward to a speedy completion of this project, which, as planned, will provide over 100,000 construction jobs and 250,000 permanent, well-paying jobs at a cost of $18 billion, which is the largest private single foreign direct investment in Nigeria's history.
The president is said to have told the developers that he needs regular updates on the Centenary City development, while Vice President Yemi Oshibajo says that the issue of rights of the original inhabitants of the sites had been of concern to the present administration. The developers also debunked allegations of fraud about the project while speaking to State House correspondents.
We have done our due diligence as investors, and we're happy with the result. We cannot do due diligence into rumors. We can only do due diligence into facts. And the facts on record are good.
The visionaries had described it as a city of hope and elegance. When completed in less than 10 years, it will serve as a symbol of Nigeria's unity, a mark of Nigeria's 100 years as a nation. Chukwuma Onwekusi, Channels Television News.
Lawyers in Nigeria have promised to work with President Muhammadu Buhari to stamp out corruption in the country. The president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Augustine Alege, made this pledge at a news conference on the resolutions reached by the association at the end of its 55th annual general meeting held in Abuja. According to Mr. Alege, the issues discussed at the meeting include corruption and the petroleum sector.
When the Nigerian Bar Association conference was declared open on Sunday, President Muhammadu Buhari urged lawyers to use their profession to help ensure justice and fight corruption.
We need to make our courts functional and effective again. This means that we must have lawyers who have the ethics of the profession very seriously. Lawyers who will not frustrate the cause of justice, even though they defend their clients with all legitimate means and resources.
As the conference came to an end, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association assured the country of the lawyers' commitment to work with the government in the fight against corruption.
The Nigerian Bar Association will take up a leading role in reading, firstly, the association, assisting the judiciary and the nation at large in dealing with endemic corruption in our country.
Apart from the issue of corruption, the lawyers also pushed for quick amendment and passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill and removal of fuel subsidy.
It was recommended that it was critical to national development for the PIB to be passed speedily. It was also critical to national development that the removal of subsidy, as it is one of the aggravating factors of corruption in that sector, apart from the potential for national development was afforded, if funds which presently go into fuel subsidy become freed up and are duly harnessed. The bar supports this position. A majority of the petrol stations in Nigeria, petrol is sold above the approved pump price. So we start to wonder, I believe in the east and most parts of the north, the meters are not used again. Petrol is sold using calculator. So you keep wondering, why do we still have fuel subsidy?
The 55th Annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association deliberated on several issues, including corruption, funding of the judiciary, and the petroleum industry. It is hoped that the resolutions reached will create the desired reforms that were canvassed during the conference.
In part 2, after the break, our focus on the post-election economic outlook are being joined in the studio by an economist, Dr. Ayo Teriba. That's in a moment. Stay with us.